The former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, said today in Jubilee Delegates Conference in Kiambu, that's a clear violation of Section 4 and Section 6 of the President's Retirement Benefits Act that demands that after 6 months you must resign as the party leader. And also it says that a former president or a retired president should only engage themselves with stately matters or national advice. Of all the statements that we made, was very unfortunate because it has confirmed my position and has vindicated me that former President Uhuru Kenyatta is still active in politics, and I think he has come out clear that we should handle him politically, not as he's still a politician. So people should not mistake that when we call out former President Uhuru Kenyatta, he is doing active politics, and therefore what he said today is shocking because I was surprised that he's still violating the President's Retirement Benefit Act. And I think it has reached a position as a country, we must make a decision. Either any person who retires from the high office, either they retire and abide by the law, or they remain active in politics so that we deal with them politically. One interesting thing, and Kenya should not forget this, that under former President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, the public debt grew from 2 trillion Kenya shillings to almost 10 trillion Kenya shillings when he left office, and there is no money that is attached to how many that was borrowed by his government. Even constructing an SGR that added to nowhere somewhere in Naivasha. There is called an SGR that added nowhere. It is under him that we saw corruption skyrocketing, where even there was COVID-19 scandal that in the history of this country, there has been never corruption that is related stealing from the sick. This was the first time that under former President Uhuru Kenyatta was done. We saw even extrajudicial killings, that bodies were being retrieved in Rivayala and many other parts of this country, including Sava and many other parts. So I'm surprised that President Uhuru Kenyatta is now clever and have clarity of thought than when he was the president for 10 years. So my advice is he should just relax in Ichaweri and see how the country is being run. As we talk today, the president has done a lot in terms of affordable housing. I was yesterday in Muranga. When you left River Chania here to Keno, there is a huge project of affordable housing program. I saw many, even in Gararia. I saw markets being constructed. And in fact, the Mount Kenya region, in this financial year, Mount Kenya region is getting more than 1 trillion worth of projects going to that region. So when former President Uhuru Kenyatta says Mount Kenya region is being isolated, I don't know which country does he live in. And I want to invite him to look at the financial year 2025-2026 so that he can acquaint himself what the government is doing. And he should be busy with the peace negotiating process that he's doing. And I want to believe that those comments that he made it in bad faith. He said we should call him to consult him. How can we call somebody who is politically active? If he had behaved as a statesman, then we would have engaged him. But now that he has not behaved as a statesman, then we have to deal with him politically. And how can he advise us on high cost of living when he left this country as a president in 2022? Kenyans were surviving on hand to mouth. There was inadequate food supply in the country. There was a lot of hunger. There was a cost of fuel were very high. The cost of living was very high. We cannot consult him at any given time because he doesn't have even a single iota on how this country should be run. And I think is what we call accidental president or post-colonial era of this republic. And we hope it doesn't happen in the near future. And you know, we defeated him in 2022. He had his own project, we defeated him. We are aware he has a project. We will also defeat him in 2027 because what President William Ruto will get as a re-election is what he has done for this country. Affordable housing, construction of Talanta Stadium, many tarmac roads, including Mau Mau roads in Mount Kenya region. There are many projects in markets. There are many others. And in fact, it's President William Ruto that I heard him talk about unity. It is President William Ruto who crossed the aisle and extended an olive branch to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And he brought the country together. That's why we have broad-based government. It was because of the wisdom of the knowledge and magnanimity of President William Ruto. Secondly, and I want to believe, you know, these political parties we have seen, and I just saw my brother here. I have seen the former, it is laughable, because I just saw the former deputy president, impeached deputy president, just chatted in quietly, like a muchawi. You know, he was chased away in London. In fact, he had told us he's going to raise 2 billion. But I'm told he raised only 2 million Kenyan shillings, or was it 1.5 million shillings? Because the Kenyans in London knew that this is a political conman, and they will not allow him to raise any money. So I want to warn the aspirants under DCP that DCP is the highest auctioning house. Even I've seen some of the Gitungatis like from Kirinyaga, Murango, I've seen Garungo Adangwa, the likes of Metu. All of them, they will have to buy the ticket. That ticket has been sold to the highest bidder. And as a government, Mount Kenya is a stronghold of UDA. We will not allow anybody or some individuals to masquerade. We are going to have our candidates in UDA and also in DCP, but they sing UDA at night. So we know that, we know the neighboring. I was in Muranga. I was the neighboring to Muranga here in Kirinyaga. We have some women there. We must ensure we win. We must have people who are friendly, and after elections they'll come back home. They'll come back. So when I see people singing Kitungatis, like my friends from that region following DCP, some of them want to be governors, some of them, I'm telling you, now that former impeached deputy president has failed to raise 2 billion in London, or was it 1 billion, they'll have to buy party tickets from DCP. Ole wow, because they will have to buy, because some of us have intelligence that the people who are funding will be given the party tickets by DCP. And that is why he was shy today. I saw him trying to castigate the president and the government, yet he's not telling the country that he raised 1.5 million against 1 billion that he had gone to raise, because he's so ashamed and embarrassed, because Kenyans, within and outside Kenyans, do not want the issue of tribalism, issue of earth, and issue of ridiculing the head of or the president of the Republic of Kenya. So I want to appeal to Kenyans as we go to electioneering period, please and please don't be taken with this political conmanship, these briefcase political parties. And you have seen even now they have done changes in some of the leadership in their political party. You can tell this is a briefcase political party. So I want to tell my brother